Neighborhood Council Sustainability. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm with the Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance. And our mission is to advance sustainability and resilience across LA through advocacy, through community action, and sharing best practices. And I think this kind of fits on a lot of them. It's going to be great. I want to thank Carrie of Circular Fashion LA for making this happen, and Lacey. You will learn more. A lot of you already know about them, but we will hear a lot more about both these efforts today. And I just think it's really fun that we're all doing this together. Super excited about it. Yeah. And it's funny, like we met each other in person today. We've been talking for a long time, so fun. Couple housekeeping items. I think the bathrooms are right here-ish. This is being recorded, so you know, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. This is our agenda. We are, I don't know what time it is. My watches are all broken, but we are aiming to get to the, we have to have a really rich discussion about the issues we're talking about today, and then get to the clothing swap dyeing stuff after that. So that's the plan. We do have community agreements, which I don't think we'll need today, but sometimes we're surprised. So we like to review them. We just ask that you assume good intent, give people the benefit of the doubt, listen intentfully, demonstrate respect and appreciation for people, be concise, not a strength of mine, that's something I'm working on, and most importantly, and especially today, have fun. I might be forgetting some things. I'm not looking at my notes, but I want to make sure that I introduce our board or give each of them an opportunity to introduce themselves. And I'm realizing the microphone, so I'll just hand this over and let each one of them do it. Because we're just going to do it fast.
Right. Okay. Okay. Chris Ahuja, Chair, Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, Board Member, President, Neighborhood Council, and a few other things. And then I'm going to pass it. No, I'm not going to pass it, Charles. It's great to see everybody here. It's awesome. Charles Miller, NCSA Board. Oh.
Hi, Alex Nicholas, NCSA Board. Carol McCart, NCSA Board.
That was fast. That was good. Okay, is there anything else I need to talk about before I'm going to hand it over to Laura Gonzalez. I just met her yesterday. Feels like a long time ago. She is a senior program manager at Lacey, and she has run a lot of the programs, as my understanding, that Carrie has gone through in Lacey. So we're going to learn about that whole process today. And also, I hope, think about the connections to neighborhood councils and how we might be able to support each other's efforts. Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone. So as said, Laura Gonzalez, I am the program manager here at Lacey. I run programs, the FPA program, Family Accelerator program, that focuses on supporting small businesses in LA, and the Equity Innovation program that focuses on our founders from marginalized communities, small businesses. Carrie and I have been part of both of those programs. But here at Lacey, our mission is to create an inclusive green economy, and we have three pillars in which I think we do that. We have the Unlock Innovation pillar, which is the pillar that has our founder-based program. And I'll talk very briefly about the program in a minute. We have that pillar focuses on supporting innovation and that our entrepreneurs in the different programs that I'm going to explain. We also have the enhancing community to be work with the community to make sure that on whatever innovation we're doing, that it's actually going back to the community, but we also train the workforce. As our cleantech founders and startup founders are creating companies, we need workforce to help the companies that work in this company, and they need training. And so we do that here in our pillar. And our third pillar is the market transportation, and we work with elected officials with that policy that will help our founders and the all the new, um, that happen. So, and the innovation tab for the, one of the programs, the NCA, which, supports multi-disciplinary day. That program is industry agnostic, so if there are some cleantech companies that go through that program, but it's also open to like different companies. And because some of our cleantech programs require proprietary technology, some of our like circular economy and circular fashion companies that maybe don't qualify for the other program might opening of the FDA, and like that is one way in which like, they can join the so that's the FDA. We have innovators program, which is for cleantech companies that are a little bit early stage, pre-prototype, and so it's a very light touch program that allows them some like time in the lab. We have a very cool lab here where like the founders can like develop a prototype, and so that program allows for like a whole year to just kind of like get ready for this stage, like for the program, and that program just for cleantech, and like I said, it requires proprietary technology in order to be part of it. Pretty big program, and a lot of companies that will be in the space that have gone through that program. And then lastly, we have market access program, and that is for like Series A companies that are already do like large scale. So that's like and if you have any questions, we'll have a Q&A where you have questions about Lacey or about our panel. But without further ado, we have an amazing group of founders here, and I want to introduce them to you. We have obviously Carrie Ann from Circular Fashion LA. We have Andrew Pontius from Evo Electric, which is another company that has been part of our incubation program. And we have Claire Beaumont from For Everywhere, who is part of like our curriculum of the NCA program. So thank you all, and I'm gonna pass it on to you so that you can introduce yourself, and then we'll have some questions. There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone. Oh my gosh, so good to see familiar faces and new faces. I'm Carrie Ann Frerick, CEO and founder of Circular Fashion LA. Lacey has been transformative for me. I went through the FBA program, now the incubation program. This event is a demonstration of the pilot project that we're going through, and I focus on circular economy and eliminating waste in the fashion industry.
Hi there, I'm Andrew Pontius, and I work for Evo Electric. I'm not one of the founders, but I was an advisor to Evo Electric around the time I became involved with Lacey and started going through the incubation program. And they kept telling me as an advisor, living in Germany at the time, and they kept telling me, one of these days you're going to give up all of that corporate stuff. I was working for 30 years with a company called Forcia. So big automotive. Ironically, I was doing exhaust systems for those 30 to 35 years, exhaust systems for internal combustion engines. So cleaning up after the mess after the ICEs. And I was working with them on electrification of trucks. So we convert diesel trucks, old diesel trucks, into electric trucks. There's one out there right now that I hope you'll check out. I'll be happy to answer all your questions. But about a year ago, the bug really got to me. And I said, I'm done with the corporate gravy train. I'm not going to be part of the internal combustion engine business anymore. And gave it all up and came to California about a year ago to take up with a startup. And like I tell my wife, there's 2 times you can do it: before you have kids and after you have kids. And so, after they're out of the house. And our kids are both out of the house now. So it was time, and we're thrilled to be in California, and I'm thrilled to be on the Evo team.
Hello, I'm Claire Beaumont. I'm the CEO and founder of For Everywhere. I'm a member of the Founders Business Accelerator, which has been a really transformative program for me to have access access to all these amazing resources here. I started my business 1 year ago, and it's a clothing repair platform that's been focused on just the clothing repair service, that's a mail-in service, and I'm expanding into classes and training programs, as well as events in partnership with brands.
Delay, okay. And I wanted to thank you within the fashion industry, Claire, and I just wanted to tie in with Evo Electric and the truck here at a fashion. Again, it's out back. Evo Electric and I and Circular Fashion LA are working together to put my mobile redesign lab in an Evo Electric truck. And so that the tie into a EV zero emissions vehicle here in the fashion event. So thank you. And thank you, Claire. You just taught a class this morning on your Instagram. All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna start with some questions, but we want this to be a conversation with you. So feel free to, like, if you have any questions at some point, let us know. We'll hand you a mic, and we wanna also hear questions. But to start, I just kind of wanted to ask all of you, what was kind of the key events or the breakthrough moments that working with you decided to get involved. For me, I've actually worked my entire career mostly entrepreneurially in the fashion industry, and in 2017 I got disgruntled and was like, screw it, I'm done. And you're in the fashion industry, probably at that moment, that point yourself. I see a lot of nods, but it was under discovering the circular economy and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and also noticing that the city of LA had a sustainability plan. And I decided, I left, I went to work as sports marketing, but then I was like, what am I doing here? All my skills are in fashion. And so the circular economy was what brought me back as a willing, non-disgruntled fashion professional, because there's so many solutions that the circular economy offers, getting off of the waste, the overconsumption, the exploitation, which I'll talk about later. That was my moment.
So common theme, I think all of us come from industries where we start out super energetic and enthusiastic. And when we hit that point of disillusionment and disgruntlement that Carrie mentioned and that I also experienced, we start looking for something more meaningful, because we don't want to work for a company, we want to work for a cause. And that's not just the new millennial generation that wants to work for a cause, it also happens to look at it. And so it gives you a new fire when you find that cause to go after and support, and you don't feel like you're working for a corporate machine anymore. You're actually working to change something.
Hello. I have, let's see, the catalyst to start my business was taking some space from the circular fashion industry for a little while. I actually was burned by circular fashion. But I've been very lucky that all the work I've done in my career and education was within the circular fashion space. And it's been really cool to work for some larger companies that are kind of pioneers in this space. But so often I was popping up and doing events. I worked with Patagonia's More and Wear program for a while, and every event that we do, people would be like, so when this event's over, where can I get my stuff prepared after? And I'd be like, I don't know where to send you. And because, I definitely try to support local tailors and stuff like that as much as possible, but people really wanted a place to take the stuff that was super sentimental to them. So I started my business to really meet the need, especially I started in the pandemic. So having a mail-in business made sense to me to be able to exist from anywhere. Yeah.
So how do you think that your business is doing that? What are some of the things that you would like to For me with fashion, many people think you have to go abroad to manufacture and have a brand and stuff, but you can do it all here. You can absolutely do it all here. My impact locally is, I am an e-commerce business, so I do have customers all over the country and as well as some internationally, but locally here with diversion from landfill and use in 2022, my company, we were able to divert 1 ton of clothes out of landfill. That's just the start. It's a mere drop in the bucket, but I'm proud of it. I hire from the workforce development program in Lacey. My goal is to keep my workforce local, keep my workforce high skilled, supported by automation and technology, and just really from LA and beyond, just impact, zero waste, and making sure all my partners share in the goals.
So our growth model at Evo Electric is to grow first in the LA area, in Southern California, and then to grow across the US and down into Latam. And the way that we plan to do that is not to own plants everywhere and to have huge operations, but rather to grow through low CapEx, high reuse. So again, we're circular on our workforce, we're circular on where the trucks are being converted. And so anybody who has an automotive or truck shop right now can become a conversion partner with us. And so we call it workforce upcycling or workforce circularity. And so all the guys who right now are turning wrenches on diesels and are afraid of electric vehicles, they can become electric vehicle technicians and build electric vehicles out of diesel vehicles and also be the guys who service them. And that's going to happen first right here in the LA area. Our first partner is in Santa Fe Springs. It's called Electric Vehicle Choice. And so he will bring 5 to 10 new guys online next year who will all come to our facility and get trained, and then they'll go back to his facility and convert trucks to be electric just like we do. So ours is not an outsource, to other countries model by any means. It's convert locally and sell locally. But when it comes to supporting locally, we also source a lot of our materials and parts locally, and it's just the obvious way to keep things circular within the community.
That's so cool and inspiring. I'm starting to move into more training programs myself. I'm excited to think about all of the sewers that are already here in Los Angeles. We have a huge manufacturing industry, and that there's so few people that have the skills to really repair clothing at a high level. So I think there's a huge opportunity to train people locally to convert, because I think as the demand for new clothing hopefully begins to go down, there's a huge opportunity to upskill more people in skills of repair, construction, stuff like that.
And I just want to check in with the audience. Is there any questions so far? If anybody has seen they want to ask or share so far?
That's exactly. Yeah, give me a good opportunity, give you a really short pitch on the truck that's out there. So much like people, there's a lot of trucks out there that need a second chance. And that truck came to us 13 years old with 300,000 miles on it. It was done, it was ready to be melted down and recycled. I want everybody to look in it and come back and tell me if you think it looks like a 13-year-old truck. Because we refurbished the cabin. We take out all the dirty diesel stuff, the exhaust system, the fuel tank, the engine, the transmission, everything. Put in a full electric powertrain. Has over 100 miles of range. I'm going to drive it home tonight after I drive it to the Chargers Rams preseason game, and then I'm going to drive it down to Newport tonight. And it functions just like my second car. It's kind of fun to say that. My second car is a Class 4 truck. But yes, we tear out all the old, diesel polluting stuff and completely convert it over. They get recycled. Yeah, your question was, what do we do with all the old engines, transmissions, everything? So there's a lot of steel and aluminum that's very valuable to the industry that you want to keep in the recycling loop. And so we actually partner with the biggest vehicle reclaim company in North America. So they reclaim the trucks, they go out to auction and buy them. It's not our specialty. They get the gliders in, so to speak. And then they take care of recycling off fluids. That's one of their specialties. They take care of recycling off metals, another one of their specialties. And if there are bits and bobs that they can sell off to other companies, they do that as well, to keep trucks on the road and not cause them to constantly buy new things. Yeah, great question.
So, the fiber, like, are there locally, and are, you know, is there, more capacity building for fiber? She can also ask you, if you're working with cities,
And I've been texting our national group time who's showing about that, so that's why I've been texting. But so yeah, textile recycling. LA City Sand actually has a pilot happening now with the California Product Stewardship Council that I'm happy to announce that I'll be part in September, October. There's a lot of efforts to bring a localized facility, a centralized facility, which could handle like a big capacity Tombra machine, which could handle the numbers are. But they estimate that the city of LA would need of those buildings and 3 of those machines to handle the amount of fibers, textiles to recycle. That's kind of on the city side, and that's kind of going in sort of pre-tandem with this upcoming law that is worth to be passed, SB 7, I believe. Yeah, thank you. For reuse and repair and recycling is becoming a responsibility of the brand and the retailer. There are definitely some private companies here doing it, and then there's also a long history of LA having like the downcycling into wiping rags, the mattress shredding. That does exist here in LA, and that's all just part of the greater network of many solutions that's essential to keep the textile business.
And to answer your cheater question, to my knowledge, the city is not using the exact brand and model of truck that we convert. We haven't found any in the city's fleet yet. We will be expanding to other brands and models, and when we do, for sure we'll hit them up, because right now we're on Isuzu's, but we will move on to Hino's and Freightliner and Peccar and Mac and all those fun brands at some point. But for now, we have to focus, and the other startups here will attest to the fact that you have to stay focused on your core as a startup. Otherwise, you get diluted and you die. So for now, we're focused on just this.
What the partnership looks like and what it's gonna like.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm a big fan and big evangelist of the repair cafes. If y'all aren't familiar with them, it's a worldwide organization that was started in Amsterdam that has free pop-up repair events in different cities. They usually, even in LA, they're at a different location each time, usually for accessibility, and bring a lamp, a toaster, a bike, your clothing. Like, there's people volunteer with all different types of skill sets, so you should be able to repair almost anything. Yeah, they're the best. And so I was very excited when I moved back to Los Angeles to get involved with the Repair Cafe here. I've volunteered with them in Oregon and Washington as well. And yeah, so I've been working with, there's one in Santa Monica and there's one in Pasadena. So LA actually doesn't have one, like Santa Monica and Pasadena have their own thing, but maybe we could collab. But yeah, their events they're really well attended. They have probably at least 40 volunteers at the Pasadena one. And that's funny because I have 6 years of experience with Patagonia's Warmwear program doing these events, where with just 3 or 4 of us, highly skilled repair people, were turning out like maybe 100, on average, 100 repairs per event, like a 5-hour event. And at the Repair Cafe, sometimes I'm like, we could totally crank out more repairs. Like if we had it's a very casual thing and it's only like 3 hours long. But we have so much volunteer capacity, and a lot of people really want to learn. Although there's a lot of elders that have been sewing for a long time that are bringing really great skills, a lot of them didn't do this for a job. So I'm usually teaching them skills along the way. I'm really obsessed with teaching my repair skills. I've worked so hard to learn how to do these repairs, and not a lot of people know how to use them or know how to perform them. So I'm always like doing a little skills share training like at the Repair Cafes, but there's just like endless training opportunities within them, because that's just the live event, but we have more training sessions between them to actually, get people up to the level to share their skills.
But not if you would be, I'm guessing this is not part of your business plan, but it does seem like you understand if that might be a pathway of work.
Yeah, I think funding has been, I've been asking questions because I'm now involved in the organizing the Pasadena Repair Cafes, and it does seem like something that's very strictly like volunteer run. It's not a lot of money that changes hands, which is cool, but some programs, it's just learning, some of them do get funding so that some people can, work full time to help organize them, because it's all volunteer run. It's a little bit crazy, and I think that they could have to do that full time people that they have to pick up there. So yeah, it's definitely a very fundable program here, and that's the chapter.
I wanted to ask from you, what is something that is like not known for those outside of the industry, in your industry, that you would like more education and awareness about? For me, like you mentioned recycling and such, there's probably 2 things I want to say, but it's easy for people to say, well, let's do textile recycling, but honestly, recycling should be the absolute last thing to do. And you should repair, redesign, redye, sell, swap, etc. And recycling is truly the end of life, because so many of the clothes that go through the recycling machines have value, have life in them, and that is the waste of the original value that is invested in this piece of clothing. So recycling, yes, but end of life, last days. And then the second thing I would say is, unfortunately, even with more sustainable fibers, organics, modal is considered more eco-friendly than cotton, but modal comes from trees, and you have to cut down trees and all these raw materials. And organic cotton requires so much more water, and without the hormones, the pesticides, the output, the harvest is as robust as the non-organic cotton. And so truly, and then you have to clear forests to have more cotton fields, and et cetera. So truly our way forward is, and my business model is, there's so much textiles and existing material that, in my viewpoint, a separation from nature. Let's give nature the space to regenerate and repair itself, because there are enough textiles to service all of our needs. And And I don't, or not unfortunately, very fortunately, there's a saying in sustainability of, buy less, wear the same thing, and, in fashion, that can get boring. This is fashion. We want to express ourselves, and I believe you can buy new, refresh as much as you want. You don't have to get bored with your wardrobe. But if we do it in a circular way where we're not calling from nature, but we're working with all the materials that already exist, then you can refresh every day if you want. Have a new wardrobe, just like fast fashion stuff, but you don't have to do it through the linear fast fashion system. So those are my 3 things.
I'm not gonna make any huge revelation about the automotive industry that you don't already know, but it's not so different from fashion or from the phones that we all carry or any of our other products that we're encouraged to fall in love with and then later fall out of love with, throw away, and buy new. And so I think there's just too much of a perception around vehicles that when it gets old, that it doesn't have purpose. And the entire system is designed to make people want new. Financing is designed to force you towards new. The end user marketing towards the end users is designed to make them want new. But we have to fight with our minds against that emotional purchase that everybody wants us to make the new. Repurposing can be just as satisfying. When we get one of our trucks turned around and it drives out of the shop under electric power, it's super satisfying. And what's even more satisfying is when that 13-year-old truck goes into the hands of an operator who says, I've been driving the Isuzus all my career, and this changes my life. This is quiet, this is not stinky, there's no vibration, and I'm gonna go home every night a better dad because I'm not tormented by this loud, smelly truck all day. And that's really satisfying. And so there can be satisfaction and purpose in circularity. It doesn't have to be boring and dirty and old and fit that perception a lot of people have about circularity. So hello, your friends.
Let's see, I want people to know that clothing, a lot of people bring me stuff or see things that I've repaired and they're like, I had no idea that was even possible. So many people think that just because, you have some holes in your jeans, like that they're not fixable, or like just assume that it's not possible. And the amount of things that I deem irreparable, the list of things I would deem irreparable is less than the fingers on one hand. Like there really is a solution for most things out there. So I'd really encourage you to just kind of ask more questions, do some research about what's available locally. So many amazing resources online too to do it yourself. And I heard a quote recently that I've been loving resharing. Like there's no right way to repair something, but repairing something is the right way. And I like that just sort of embodies the spirit of like, hey, you fixed it or you did it, it's wearable again. Like that's the spirit, and it's okay if it wasn't, the fanciest repair, but it's standard use.
Any questions from the audience so far? I'm really, I've been so proud of this. And I also volunteer in alpaca. And one of the things that has this experience and looking for solutions there is just sitting there the process materials, that processing facilities don't exist in this country. They went overseas. So we're trying to onshore mills and skills, all that. But the other thing that I just find really fascinating with the wool fibers, especially alpaca sheep, are what the qualities are, the
on and on and on. And there are a lot of industrial applications, such as brick and things like that. So I'm very curious. We're very close to starting a wool waste working group in Southern California. There is one that's international and a month, and we'll plug into them. But the industrial fiber applications are what really. So, is anybody interested in that? Is that something that you're hearing people talk about? Because I would like to talk to whoever it is that's engaged in it. You know, seeing
I work with post-consumer clothing as my focus, so, but, yeah, no, but, that's too, okay. I do know someone else from the SoCal Fiber Shed, who's not here, but, I don't, yes, Leslie, yeah, sounds like get a coalition.
Project, an endowment by China, actually, development of fiber filament. And in fact, I was actually talking to this gentleman, the fiber filament and how it incorporates the body and in terms of ability, functionality, weave. I mean, so if you really wanted to do something in terms of sustainability, like you said, that with the planet, you really got to go to the basics of fashion. I'm talking. I don't know anything about that. You got to go to the base of it, which is the actual textile, fiber filament, how that fiber filament affects the actual body of the human. Otherwise, you're repeating the same cycle in a different manner. Not to say that these are incorrect or not good, or they are. We should all be able to restore, rebuild, die, make alterations that are key to the future of fashion. Fundamentally, you must understand how that fiber filament interacts with the actual body in all levels. And so one of the, if you like the contact to this researcher, I'm more than willing to give it to you after. There was research done on how the litmus system of the body of the skin interacted vibration, cotton, leaves of cotton, mixtures of cotton, elasticity, interact with each other. In fact, even ancients, from we go to Egyptians, we go to Assyrians, the mixture of jute and wool was never together. It was contradicted somehow in vibration of the body. Silk and elastine, or the polyester together. I think it should just be directed to mushrooms, which is fundamentally the digestive tract of the planet. Anyway, if anybody wants the link, this which just came out. It's just funny that China funded it, which is very interesting. I think going forward as global, understanding that the dollar is not longer, it's not going to be the international exchange. We as consumers, especially humans, we have responsibility. Let's go to the core of the problem. And again, I'm not finding fault. In terms of fashion, the core of the textile would be understanding textile fibers and concepts about the interaction. Thank you.
That is not an expert of fabric, but someone who works as a product developer around the world. And the thing is that these customers, it's very hard to teach them the minimum in even consuming. Like I have a project called Neighbors by Design, which is a new project with circular economy, and nobody knows about fabric. It's one fact everybody, and people are in fast need for other reasons, and dressing is not a fashionable. That's the majority of people are thinking, but bringing it to the small community, I have learned that we need to educate
that would be one of the things, maybe for you, offer, something that we show the emotional, the psycho, the impact that all of these have. But then, it's a little complicated that we should. Thank you. Yeah, all very, very, very good. What can people, how can people make like what things that, could help, be more, what, I have a whole slide covering that afterwards, so I'll save my answer.
I would just say support businesses who are clearly making an effort. It's costing them money, usually more than it would to do the easy and wrong thing. It's costing them money to be circular, to be smart, to do what's right for the planet, and support them. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but support them, and especially if they're local. Because if they're not local, then number one, it's not going circular through your economy, and number two, the bigger the company is, the more likely it's greenwashing, not really true circularity or true environmental protection.
I would say that just like kind of reflecting on the things in your life that you own that that you have an emotional connection to me, that's one of the most major factors in sustainability, that you care about something and that you maybe invested time in it, but probably you have memories of the item, and really reflecting on what items you have that you would, take with you in an emergency or something. And I feel like that, just reflecting on that emotional connection to the things that we have has at least made me think a lot differently about the things that I purchase in the future and the necessity of them.
Questions, any thoughts? Well, where can we comprehensive list? It's yeah, we can develop that. I do have some resources that I'm sharing next. Yeah, but for now I should individual research, but well, actually no. California Product Stewardship Council is mapping. If you go to California Product Stewardship Council.org, they are actually mapping in LA what businesses are doing what, and how you can get involved with it. So that would be a good resource, and they have been a mentor throughout the program in placement. So calpsc.org. They're developing. That's one resource. Well, I want to thank here for your panel. Thank you for your questions. Thank you. Thank you. So I will not bore you with a super long presentation because I know with this audience I'm probably preaching to the choir. But again, I'm Carrie, and today it's the cycle of fast fashion. Let's break it. What can we do about it? What are the solutions that are available to us? I've been a professor of the business of fashion and sustainability since 2010, and then my entire career since 2003 has been in the fashion industry. So we here know, I know this audience knows, but the linear economy and the cycle of fast fashion is a vicious cycle. Fashion is 2% of global GDP. Those kind of secure in front of me. Global GDP, 2%. It's enormous. Clothes is after we figure out what we're going to eat, we figure out what we're going to wear. It's ubiquitous to our day, and it's such an important industry that touches every part of our life. And the vicious cycle, it overconsumes, it pollutes, it wastes, and it exploits. And there are a lot of issues at honestly every single level that need solutions, from pesticides to deforestation to the emissions in the air from textile productions to water pollution from dye shops to labor exploitation in developing countries and what I'll cover here in LA. Global shipping, mass production for the sake of the cheapest price, and then promoting that mass production, that crowd is Black Friday crowd. Then all of you brought bags and bags to clothing swap. That's a learning for me about how many clothes people bring to the clothing swap. You have nothing to wear, but with circular fashion, you can redesign and redye and love this again. And then to the landfill and it starts all over again. This is from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, their 2017 report. If you're not familiar with ellenmacarthurfoundation.org, get familiar with it. They're a treasure trove of resources. But at the top, it says less than 1% closed loop recycling. This is from 2017. So now when the 2022 or 2020 report comes out, I would just bet we would be at around maybe 5%. There's been a lot of investments to close loop recycling. So I guarantee you that number will go up beautifully. But nonetheless, still 97%. So maybe in 2020, 2022, when that report comes out, maybe it'll be 95%. Comes from the virgin raw materials that we are over consuming and the earth can't support us in this current way. It comes from oil, from cotton, from trees, and from animals. 73% gets landfilled or burned, unfortunately, and you have made sure yours do not go to the landfill by contributing to our clothing swap. Thank you very much for that. The 12% losses in production. Right here in LA, there's a lot of textile production, and sanitation is doing a lot to focus on the losses on the manufacturer side, but it's 12% compared to the post-consumer 73%. So where I focus post-consumer, the big, huge bucket of the problem. Okay, so LA here, if you did not know, fun fact, fashion is the #1 manufacturing industry in LA. If your clothes say made in America, there's an 83% chance they were made in LA. LA is the home. We employ at least 45,000 garment workers, and even more when you account there's almost, according to Crunchbase, 1,200 fashion-related companies. These are not just manufacturers. These would also be the retailers, the online stores, etc. These logos on the screen here are just some of the biggest, most name recognizable, headquartered here in the LA area brands. So at least the California Fashion Association estimates that $15 billion worth of product from the fashion related goods gets exported and shipped out of LA every single year. This industry is huge, it demands attention. LA is key to America solving this problem. And if any of you want to start a brand, you don't have to go overseas. You can do it here. And we encourage you to do it right here. But there's a flip side to doing it right here too, because there's always good and bad, both things. So my next slides are going to focus on this big one right here, one of the elephants in the room. Okay, so this last Friday when I made this slide, this was the very first item that showed up.
A week later, I don't even know how many pages down it is. I stopped looking at 5 pages down, okay? So Fashion Nova, got a name drop. They're headquartered here in Los Angeles. And they're not the only ones, but they are a big one who's contributing to problems. And the goal of my conversation is how does fast fashion affect our local economy? And what can we do about it? Okay, so this is a math game. Does it add up? Every single one of us can get romanced and, oh man, $14 for a top like that. Oh, it's so tempting. That's so tempting. I could get 5 tops. I can get all the tops. Oh my gosh. So, how do you, I can't, I need it. It's so cheap. Guess what? It's too good to be true. Okay. So this is a cut and sew item. You mentioned wovens at the top. If it's knits, there's a possibility that a machine could have knitted it. But if it's a woven, that is cut and sew, that is hands, that is eyes, that is humans. They are working on robots and automation, but we are not there yet. So this shirt is satin. It has, I counted, at least 8 cut pattern pieces. All right, it also has an elastic waistband. It has at least 6 buttons. It has a front pocket. It's imported. And every single clothing item, especially if it's a woven, has to be cut, made, trimmed. All cut. It can be automated. There's a lot of automation in cutting, but making, there's automation, but the automation supports the human beings. It's the human beings who do it. Okay, so $14. The original price is $20, but brand new on the site, brand new in deal, $14. Oh my God, I need it. It's $14. $14. Okay, does that add up? Does it? If it feels too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Every business model has 3 main components that make up the price. The cost of the goods sold, the business operations, which are salaries, your designers, your stores, your marketing, and then your profit. 3 components, okay? So if we take $14 and divide that by 3, and this is very optimistic because cost of goods sold is never an equal third. It's like way down, but we're going to do a best case scenario because I don't work for Fashion Nova, so I don't know what the margins are, but let's just divide by 3, which means that cost of goods sold, materials, labor, shipping, all must fit into $4.66. Okay, so we divide the retail price by 3. Now divide that price by 3 because you have materials, you have labor, you have shipping. Retail price divided by 3, take that amount, divide it by 3. Does it make sense? $1.56 is how much at the absolute best case scenario. Best case scenario, that shirt was budgeted. The materials cost $1.56. There is at least 1.5 yards in that shirt. Okay, there's elastic, there are buttons. Okay, that's the materials. Labor, you have to cut out at least 8 pieces. That can be automated, but people do need to, come on in, people do need to run the automations and run the machines. Again, you can automate the cutting, but you unfortunately right now cannot automate the sewing in a woven. Somebody has to sew those 8 pieces together, and that somebody is a whole gang of somebodies, okay? And then you have to press it, you have to label it, you have to, all right? $1.56 to make that shirt, $1.56 for the materials of that shirt. And it's imported, but not always, $1.56 to ship that shirt all over the world because that's how the fashion industry works. Does that add up? Maybe you don't know what materials cost, but a yard of fabric does not cost $1.56. Maybe if it's Like, maybe, clearly they're doing it, okay? It does not add up. So take your retail cost, divide by 3. Take that cost, divide by 3. Does that make sense? Can someone make a wage? It's so tempting, I know, okay? But the reality is, this is a New York Times article from 2019, so pre-pandemic. Pandemic did change everything, but this is so recent. All right, and this is Fashion Nova underpaying or not paying Los Angeles workers. All right, Fashion Nova since now doesn't manufacture as much in LA. Now they go internationally because of what I'll tell you. But at least when they started, they did most of their manufacturing in Los Angeles. This woman, they covered 2 women, either Miss Garcia and Miss Cortez, the name of this woman. And let's get into it. Here are some quotes from this article. So here in Los Angeles, not Bangladesh, not Vietnam, not Cambodia, Los Angeles, Miss Garcia worked every single day of the week. On average, she earned $270 a week, equivalent of $4.66 an hour in Los Angeles. What's the minimum wage in Los Angeles? Keeps going up. Keeps going up. Yeah, $16. Miss Garcia, your neighbor on the bus, your neighbor on the train, the person you see in the grocery store is not making minimum wage. I believe you should make more than that, but let's at least try. Okay, so see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. I'm a fast fashion company. We have really amazing stuff. Where does it come from? We hire contractors. And guess what? Brands right here, underlined in bold. Under federal law, brands cannot be penalized for wage theft in factories if they can credibly claim that they did not know their clothes were made by workers who were paid really low wages. Loophole, the law is allowing brands to close their eyes, hope for the best. We don't own the sewing contractor, so whatever the sewing contractor does, that's their problem, said a designer who declined to be named for fear of losing her job. We don't know what they do to give us the lowest price. We just assume it's the minimum wage. Fast fashion. Ignorance is the business model. It's built into the business model. When a shirt is $14, this is what is happening. Blind eyes are being turned to the hard work and the labor of the people who are actually doing it. The very top, the company does not deal directly with factories. Instead, the places bulk orders with companies that design the clothes and then ship the fabric separately to separately owned sewing contractors. That's fast fashion. Whether it happens in Los Angeles, whether it happens in Bangladesh, whether it happens in Vietnam, China, Cambodia, that's how it's done. You put several layers between you, the brand, and the person at the end. You can claim ignorance and you get away with it. All right, so, I'll ask you a quick question. Actually, let me just finish and then we'll ask a question. Okay. Same story 15 years ago. Who was the hot new brand 15 years ago? That one, Forever 21. So come on in, you can come on in. Okay. Yeah, Forever 21, same story, different decade. All right, this is a documentary. I encourage you to watch it. It's called Made in LA, and it chronicles the experience of these 3 women. It came out in 2007. Maybe that's outdated, but is it? Same story repeated over 15 years later for Fashion Nova. Okay, many of the labor abuses seem to come from subcontractors for a trendy national women's manufacturer in Forever 21, which produces 95% of its line in LA. These are our neighbors, these are our community workers. Oftentimes they're undocumented because the fashion industry will hire people who don't have a say or who are afraid to speak up. And that is the business model. Okay, Ooh, depressing. Oh my gosh. The waste side of things, I did mention LA City Sanitation. I'm very proud I helped contribute to this report. 2022, they published a textile recovery project, which I mentioned to your question here about sorting machines and recycling in 3 huge facilities. Approximately 72,000 tons of textiles are landfilled per year from commercial, business, and multifamily residences. 72,000 tons per year. Single-family homes, that's a separate category. They didn't immediately have that data, but they estimated it's the 5th most common material in the blue and the black bin. Okay, so all of you brought your clothes here to me. Thank you for doing that. Some people unfortunately throw them in the trash. And Athens, Recycla, none of them want the clothing in their facilities because it tangles up and hurts the machine. Okay, and because Los Angeles has a robust fashion industry, we have a higher rate of textile waste than other cities in California. So there's a big priority right now. And the California Product Stewardship Council and LA City Sanitation, this represents the phase 1 pilot in 2022. I'm very proud to say I'll take part in the phase 2 pilot coming up this fall, which actually will design and use some of those textiles. Okay. So I did mention a couple laws. California loves legislation, love it or hate it. Sometimes we love it, sometimes we hate it. But alas, the Garment Worker Protection Act. Now, one of the main problems with the previous slide with Ms. Cortez and Ms. Garcia is that the company names on their checks changed every couple of months. Whenever the city would go investigate the current address, it was vacant. It's a cat and mouse game. The custodian contractors remain the same, but the company will just launch a new company in its place. This is expensive. This is part of their business model. Instead of just paying these workers what they deserve, they're paying to start new companies, to shut down old companies, to relocate their businesses to avoid the law. Okay, so maybe, potentially, the retailers and the brands will be liable for those lost wages. Potentially, it's a step in the right direction. Okay, and then this is not yet passed, but this is the Textile Recovery Act. My friends at the California Product Stewardship Council are working actively to push that legislation through, and that will require brands and retailers to do their part, to recycle, to take back, it's gonna prioritize repair, repurpose, again, recycling the last one, it's very important. Okay, what can you do about it? Angie said it, Claire said it, we all said it, Laura said it. Research, do your research, okay? If you Google a name of a company and bad press starts coming up, take that, there you go. Okay, so research. I believe that first and foremost, number one, you have to do your research. It's up to you, unfortunately. Repair with it, redye, repurpose, all the R's, every R word is our best friend. Okay, and then support brands who put equity, transparency, and sustainability first. Not, hey, look at us, I got this hot shirt for 14 bucks, 14 bucks, 14 bucks. Buy. Okay, tempting, but put your blinders onto it. They're putting their blinders on, so it's time we put our blinders on to their artificially low prices. Okay. Okay. I mentioned a whole bunch of resources. This QR code or my website, circularfashionla/news, first blog article. I put every single one of these resources in this article and links to them so that you can go read for yourself and do your own research. And then they're Garment Workers Center, they're here in LA. They're amazing too. I haven't mentioned them enough. The Women in the Made in LA documentary discovered them and realized they had rights that they didn't know about. Okay. Here, Remake. We love Remake Fashion Accountability Report. This is the cover page to a really amazing report. It says an assessment of 58 of the world's largest companies across fashion, luxury, and big box retail, and then the sustainable alternatives. They rank. They have a score chart, and our friends Fashion Nova and Forever 21 we're at the bottom of the score chart. Sides. Okay, there's a lot of great brands at the top of the score chart. Okay, but they have a score chart that ranks like traceability, sustainability, governance, use of materials, wage, labor, etc. So it's a robust ranking, and you can use that to help you decide. Okay, and then again, Ellen MacArthur Foundation, just live on your side. Very excited. Okay, all right, so my purpose for this event, you're all a part of it. Thank you for being here. Thank you. I want to be an event without you here. As part of the incubation program, I'm in the pilot project. I'm demoing my pilot project. This is an event that you can book in your neighborhood, in your organization, in your corporation. But right now, I'm hoping neighborhood councils. This is a community benefit event where you're in your neighborhood, maybe at one of your rec centers. You can co-sponsor my company, and we can come in and we can do the same things: clothing swap, redye activities, shop grade upcycled, products. And there's so many really great events that you are activities you can take advantage of for free today. But then, of course, there's also really great products we have for sale. And I really want to mention, I was texting earlier, our natural redyer, Jessica Unsell of Wildfire Water. She set up out that. We're raffling off. Okay, stay right here, madam.
Hi, my name is Jessica Unsell. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the creator and owner of Wildfire Water. I'm a natural dyer, which means I use plant material to naturally dye and color textiles. Much of what I dye with, I grow in my own homegrown dye garden here in Southern California. Lucky for us, we have a very long growing season, so I can usually grow from spring to October. I am a third generation seamstress. I have a B of A in fashion design and a minor in textile arts. I've been sewing since I was 7 years old. This has been a lifelong mission for me. And I am here to spread awareness, educate, and inspire people to try natural dye. And I will be demoing it today. The technique that I'm doing today is called bundle dye, and it's a full circle technique where we can reuse the material that we use for dye to put back into our compost pile. It's low water, and it's a really amazing technique. I hope you guys try it out. Thank you.
And with that, okay, from her garden, flowers from her garden are in these packs. So is a silk bandana. So is full instructions of how to dye it out back with her today, as well as if you want to take it home. You can buy and take these home with you. These have a value of $38. 2 of you will get these 2 for free, and you can dye your bandana or your silk and learn all your natural flowers. So that's the raffle. For everyone else, please, please, please support small businesses and participate. These are for sale. You can watch and learn for free, but get in there, get your hands dirty with flowers, and dye with some natural dye kits. Dye your own silk bandana. You can dye cotton and other things, but not today. That requires like a longer prep process. So today is just the silk. It's all in this pack. So, here, you want to hold them real quick? Everyone. So, Wesley, Jay, are you excited? Okay. Here you go. And Miller. There we go. You get a second chance. Let's get one of the ladies. Okay. Okay, so yes, Jessica's along the brick wall out back, so let me just tell you what all there is to do. So, big learning for me is all of you brought tons and tons of clothes. It's a learning moment. Okay, but nonetheless, there's a swap. If you brought tons and tons of clothes, you can swap for free the amount of clothes that you brought. That's on the inside, okay? And all the racks are organized by size. If you didn't bring clothes to swap, shop it still. It's $15 each, very affordable, very affordable. And it wasn't made, well, it originally made by fast fashion, but not by me. This is just, so the swap is inside. Outside, and thank goodness it's a mid-80s day, but bright LA sun, the weather's on our side. Jessica, you can please participate and dye with her activity. For those of you who maybe brought your own clothes to redye, or you can purchase our clothes to redye. We have tie-dye, we have stenciling. We're using redye because that's a great commercially available resource for everyone at home. So we have tie-dye and fun stencils. Unfortunately, right now we can't dip and do like full ombres or just, so just stencils. And we also have a circular fashion LA screen print. You can screen print. And that's all out back. So out back is you can dye your own clothes for free, but everything else is shopping. So please support us and our small business, Jessica and myself. And I have a network of people on my team, so you're supporting many small, great businesses when you support me. And then helping. Oh, and I'm going to measure the impact because, wow, so many clothes you have brought. So I'll report on that, how much you save from landfill. What was not immediately swappable, we do have our processes where we upcycle it. That'll be a really beautiful process and go through everything. Any questions about anything I talked about? And welcome my newcomers. Yeah.
Yeah. I just wonder if a question for you is, with respect to the working on labor rights and the wage theft and issues like that, what we've seen a lot of times in more progressive oriented efforts in similar industries in Los Angeles is we pass legislation and then they just move that to Nevada or Arizona or some other place. And so I'm curious what your perspective is on that. I mean, if we're just pushing it to another state, are we really solving the problem?
Well, and for fashion, it's not really pushed to another state, it's been pushed to other states, because that is where governments also turn a blind eye, because a lot happening there, so they got to cut out for them. Fashion Nova doesn't really produce in LA anymore because they got audited and caught so much. So unfortunately, our hardworking garment workers are losing their jobs because when we close our eyes with fast fashion, your choice is pay someone here nothing or pay someone else nothing. And they're not going to pay, unfortunately, a $50 shirt. They're not going to pay minimum wage because you can't at a $50 shirt. So unfortunately, those hard workers, members of our community, are losing their jobs. But nonetheless, LA is still resilient. There's a vibrant circular economy, circular fashion, sustainability. Some of the logos on the earlier slide weren't all fast fashion. They were big champions of circularity, you can do a lot here, but you're gonna have to pay. All of us will have to pay these prices. If you don't wanna pay those prices, you know what you get. Yeah, okay, you're jealous. It's more like a mindset. I think we have to change the way we're thinking now. Originally, I was born in Armenia and I see like my mom grew up fixing, sewing. We were used to buying stuff. And if we can go back in time, we can, but if we do our mindset and educate people, then no matter what, we can change our mindset, like fast fashion, and it will be fashion to make something unique. I hope maybe my own stores and still fixes my stuff, my daughter's. So like, her pants turn into shorts and they turn into something else, and it's really cool and unique, and people notice that. I think that's what we need to achieve, maybe by banning eventually, and it's not even sold. It's made in Bangladesh and maybe in other states. We completely get it. We cannot do it right away. Because we have to get to that point. And I just, I hope it's not a dream, but it will come. Thank you for that. I'm a music teacher. I did it because it was for the line. Also, I wanted to mention that I saw local libraries now, they have maker space areas where they teach kids and they're going for pretty good classes or get topics. So that's another, like it's changing all the time. It doesn't mean we're behind. I mean, but we see what technology does.
Can I throw in one more just to follow up on that? So as advocates, basically what I'm getting here is if we support these kind of legislation things that set these standards, if we're just transferring this overseas, then we've got all the problems we had here, plus the carbon cost of moving stuff here. So does it make sense for us as advocates to support legislation like that? Or does it instead make sense to support legislation that are producer responsibility laws, where we say you can only sell clothing in California if you can demonstrate that everybody made a living wage, which is set at certain things, which then engenders all kinds of difficulty because you take on the lobbying efforts from every retailer who doesn't want that kind of thing. So anyway, I'm curious your perspective on that.
I often believe California absolutely overregulates. You know, it's bodily landscape as a business to manage it. You think you're compliant, you're like, what? But you know, the solution lies with our wallets, our choices. Because fast fashion needs money because people don't want to participate in that, and they're going to change their business model. I think it has to be law for the sake of support, not carrot versus stick, I guess. But as a small business, oftentimes the stick end of California legislation, and people who are in governance, but it's true. And so it's messy.
Fair enough.
I think we can't take the stand that, okay, we're just going to chase it around the world, so don't do anything. I think that would also be wrong. And I think that we take legislation that says not in our house, and then take the legislation that says don't bring it into our house. Both. I think both is the answer. I think we have to legislatively say no to the other countries getting away with sending it to us and choke the market. So make it so that nobody buys it. So don't have do it.
We gotta wrap it up. You got swapping, you got shopping, you got dying to do. We're a little over time. You have some announcements, Lisa?
I actually think we're fine.
Okay. Okay. Okay, please partake in the activities. You came for them. I know we're late. Partake in the activities. Swap, die, wine, and shop. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. I'm leaving in like 30, 20. Oh, that's actually great.